Hey guys, it is Dungeon Master Mark again, doing the second follow-up video on the D&D starter set versus the beginner box set through Paizo or Pathfinder. So, obviously I've had people ask me for this video a lot recently. They were nice enough to give me a review copy of the D&D starter set, so here in a couple weeks this may be up for grabs on my website. I'm not probably going to be giving it away because D&D Basic is really not probably going to be taking over my gaming table anytime soon, and if it's so, that the rules are free anyway. So, but let's go ahead and dive into kind of the meat and the potatoes between the two products. Before we get started, I feel like I almost have to point out I am normally a Pathfinder player. I love Pathfinder. I love the system. I loved 3rd edition. I loved 3.5. Didn't really care for 4th edition that much. I also like Hackmaster and I like Savage. And my favorite edition of all time, though, is 2nd edition D&D. So, sorry, Pathfinder, Paizo. 2nd edition is still my all-time favorite. It was my first. So, but D&D 5th edition is not a bad product. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at that for this video. In a lot of ways, these two products are a lot alike as far as rules go. There's a lot of similarities between the two. So anyone that says one sucks and the other one's just awesome is probably either an idiot or someone you probably don't want to listen to in the first place, because they are that much similar. So just so we get that out of the way, as we go along, I'm going to go over some similarities and some slight differences. But for the most part, these two products are almost exactly the same. So the first thing we're going to go over is just box. If you've seen the video for this, or you've seen the video that I've already posted for the starter set, you're going to realize the boxes themselves, almost exactly the same material. Beginner box obviously is a little bit bigger and heavier versus like the size of the starter set box. Material though is very, very nice, so I don't think you're going to have to worry about these getting too banged up on your shelf. You don't have to worry about the real bad sag like some of the old box sets. Let's go ahead and open these bad boys up real quick. Let's go ahead and toss the lids out of the way. Alright, so first things first, when you first open them up, both of these have like a little letter in there. The Pathfinder one just tells you a little something about, welcome to a world of adventure. Please read this before you get started, blah, 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 blah. D&D has a similar looking one. I think I've actually already set it aside. Yeah, there we go. Just another little tidbit of information. But that's where we kind of get started at. Now, the Pathfinder Beginner Box set did have a nice set of 7 dice in there. Nice red and white ones. The starter set comes with 6 dice, which obviously is missing the percentile dice. Now, I'm not sure why a lot of people complain about not getting a percentage dice. In D&D 5th edition, or D&D Next, whatever you want to call it, you really don't need a percentage dice very often, or almost at all. So, it's not really a big deal. Could they have included it? Yes, but, I mean, if you want to buy your own dice, it's what, 10 cents, maybe a quarter if you buy a nice one. So, not a real big deal breaker by any means. But dice themselves are kind of light. They're not super high quality. They're not Chessex dice or anything, but they're free. So, very important thing, though, in my opinion, is a starter set or beginner set. You definitely want a nice set of dice, which these aren't bad at all. They're not, El Cheapos. But like I said, to start off with, both of them pretty much had the same type of dice. Pathfinder one, you did have the percentage dice, since you do occasionally use that in Pathfinder. Let's go ahead and skip the quest for right now. And then so Pathfinder one, we have the Hero's Handbook, the Game Master's Guide, and then of course we got a map. We'll set those aside for the moment. Now, the one kind of gripe I would say about the difference between the two. Now, this is obviously the character sheets for the Pathfinder ones. Okay, so this is just the cleric. So you got the nice artwork. Now, they really break it down, especially for brand new players. I mean, you have everything's kind of color coded. They even letter everything, so they make skill checks, how you make them. Your combat, it even shows you a little picture of what the dice, or what type of dice you have. I mean, they really break it down really nice. Now, just a nitpick, like I said, the Wizards of the Coast one, here's the same cleric one. Not so much. But now, in all fairness, I get the feeling that the starter set is geared more towards people who have played before but have left and gone to other systems and are coming back and they just want to try it out. Now you have to remember, this is clearly indicated as a beginner box set. So beginner, obviously someone brand new to it, probably haven't played before, for starter. So they don't call it a beginner set anymore. They don't call it, just the red box. It's a starter set. So obviously it's to get you started. And I think it's kind of interesting that they made that distinction. They didn't call it a beginner set, kind of like the Pathfinder did. So, in my opinion, it's kind of a break-even. Obviously, the artwork is very nice on these. Actually, that's an extra request that I printed from offline. But, like I said, the artwork on these is extremely nice, which is a nice touch. Paper quality is probably a little bit better with Paizo. And then Paizo does give you a lot of blank character sheets, which actually I believe it came with 5 or 6 from the get-go, which pretty nice number. Dungeons & Dragons box set does not give you any blank character sheets, which kind of stinks a little bit, but you can get over it. Now, the one interesting thing on these, though, like I said, besides being numbered, you actually have where you can, everything's listed. So obviously your D20s are here. You can actually color code stuff. You want to put like a little check mark next to them, which is what Paizo recommends. And then you have, on your character sheet itself, everything's nice and easily legible and highlighted. That way if you color code stuff, you just, color around your little letter. I suppose you could do the same on the Dungeons & Dragons one. It's just not geared towards that from conception, I guess. So, like I said, it's kind of a nitpicking thing. But, obviously, as I said 100 times in this video so far, this is obviously geared towards new players. So, something to consider. Alright, so, now, to the starting set. I should say to the rules themselves. Now, this is the starter set rulebook for the Dungeons & Dragons one. And then you have actually 2 books through Pathfinder. You have a Hero's Handbook, which is, I'll flip through here and show you guys real quick. Fairly nice artwork. It gives you more in-depth information about individual characters, like the different classes, how to make skill checks, how to make different types of feats work. It's very basic. Obviously, it doesn't go over very many feats. It's very light on the feats. Different types of equipment, different things about encountering, traveling, things of that nature. So, yeah. Like I said, this is one of the books, which obviously this, as you can tell, probably a little bit thicker than, maybe almost exactly the same size as the starter set rules. So, as far as the value of those, obviously this is probably a little bit higher value for what you're getting for your money's worth. Obviously this is going to stay in one piece longer than this with the staples on the side. But like I said, they do have some good artwork in here as well. But this obviously is a little bit higher quality, as you can probably tell. It's almost like one of their softback books they have out on the market. Now this is one of those difficult parts of the review, because now the Game Master Guide, I love the fact that Paizo introduced this for new GMs, especially if you're buying this box and you've never GM'd before. Now this does have the quest in it, which is really nice. You can print out the quest separately if you want, but it has a lot of other information about hardness on walls. It gives you an idea of how to describe floors, all different kinds of really neat stuff. A lot of different wondrous items, different stuff about different types of monsters, which is really nice. Even there's stuff that's not even in the other book. Gives you information about one particular town. So it's kind of like a entry-level campaign plus your adventure. And then you have different conditions and things. Kind of similar to the starter set. And it gives you a little bit of information about the basic books. And then, obviously, the common map symbols. So, like I said, very nice product. Obviously, the Dungeons & Dragons one doesn't have quite as much information, but it does have some of the same information. So, kudos for Paizo for going kind of above and beyond, especially for new GMs, because, when I GM'd at Gen Con last year for the kids area, there was a couple of the little kids who won some of the box sets, and these little kids' eyes would just light up when you give them this and they open it up and go through it. So, very good product. Alright, so now we got The Lost Mine of Fendelver. which if you've seen my box set, the starter set rulebook, review, you saw some of the information. Some nice maps in that. Definitely good artwork. A lot of background information. Some people are complaining that even though it's more of a theater of the mind game for 5th edition, that they still come with a lot of box text. So, to me, that doesn't bother me that much. I like box text. I don't always use it. Sometimes I change it up a little bit, but has some nice information about like disguised characters, some different plot twists and stuff. So it does come with a good bit of information, even this nice map here. Now, the one thing I would say is probably a complaint, though, is, now granted the quality, it isn't quite as, well made as the other, but they don't come with any maps. And that's twofold. For one thing, this is a little bit lower value. This retails for $19.99, and the Paizo box retails for $34.99. So, now right now you can get these anywhere between about 12 to 15 bucks on like Amazon, eBay. Sometimes I've seen this once as low as $19.99, but most of the time this floats right around about $25 to about $30. So, like I said, I have seen it as low as $19.99 before, which for 19 bucks is a great value. Now you're probably looking at these. For those who haven't seen these before, the Paizo set comes with cardboard tokens. So basically, yes, there is a box of them. You have a ton of them in here. So you basically have like your little paper mini for you to use on your map. So there's just the artwork for the orc there. I'm not sure how well that'll show up. And you have some larger ones for like the boule and stuff like that. But there is an absolute ton of these. If I had to guess, there's probably a good, probably well over 100, 200 tokens. And then, of course, you have the map that comes with it. Now, you have the one side, which is dry erase, which is just kind of plain brown, so if you want to do a city and draw out your things. The other one is kind of like a cave / old temple. Sorry about the reflection there. But this one actually goes along with the adventure in the box set itself, which you'll see there, which says Beginner Box down here. Which, oddly enough, people actually sell these maps on eBay. They normally go for about anywhere between about 15 bucks or so, just for the map, because people want just the plain surface, which to me is a little silly for just a single dry erase map, but something to consider if you're not doing Theater of the Mind. If you're doing the D&D starter set, you may need to purchase stuff like this if you want to do more tactical battles, if you want to use grids and stuff like that. For those who don't do grid or do gridless systems in Theater of the Mind, maybe this is more your style. So, it's just something to kind of think of. So, to kind of sum up this video, because this video's kind of been all over the place. Wow, where to even start? Both are good products, don't get me wrong, okay? If I had to choose one myself, if my son had a friend who was getting into role-playing and I was going to buy him something, and let's say I had 20 bucks to spend, if I had a couple extra bucks, I would probably spend the couple extra bucks and get this, because this is a better product, in my opinion. I mean, look at what all you get extra. I mean, you have pretty much the same content. The books are maybe a little bit higher quality. Paper quality, that's a little bit better. Dice, about the same. Character sheets, about the same. Maybe a little bit geared towards Paizo is a little bit better, just because the artwork and the simplicity towards newer players. But if you're brand new, you never jammed before that, you get the map, and of course you get tokens, which is a very, very good thing, especially for new players. So in that regards, I would definitely say the win goes to Paizo. Now, if you're playing Theater of the Mind, you don't want a map, you don't want tokens, you just have a bunch of buddies sitting around, having a couple beers, playing some D&D. Maybe the D&D starter set is your thing. Like I said, biggest things game-wise, system-wise between the two. The rules for the systems are going to be a lot similar. For anyone who has not played D&D Next yet, or 5th edition. If you saw my one old video I did probably well over a year ago, I know lot of people left messages about how they were kind of scared that, kind of like me, rightfully so, that D&D Next was going to be almost exactly like the Pathfinder Basic Beginner rules, and they were going to screw stuff up, or they were going to just hack stuff together. It's not a bad system. In a lot of ways, it is like the Pathfinder Beginner rules, which are different from the regular core rules. One thing they do is they trimmed out a lot of feats. They also kind of went away with a lot of skills. A lot of your skills in the beginner stuff goes just by off like what the actual skill is, and it goes by off just your strength and your charisma and just what your your modifier is. Similar to D&D 5th edition. Now, in the 5th edition, obviously, you have different kind of things that can change some of your stats. Let's say you have, like you have some different features, like you have, like, modifiers based on, like, your flaws and your bonds and your ideals and that, which, that's great. Any type of role-playing game, you should probably have that to begin with. Even in Pathfinder, you have your traits, which normally you want to use your traits in your character, which explains about your character, and that also gives you some type of kind of an idea of how to roleplay that person. Now, both systems, you can give your characters bonuses, and that if they're role-playing something out, obviously, you have that ability as a GM. So, that's not a real big deal. There is some minor little things about different systems, like you have your advantages and disadvantages in the D&D 5th edition, to where instead of giving someone just a bonus, like maybe you have like a plus 10 to something, or maybe plus 5 to something, your disadvantage or advantage, like an advantage would be where you roll 2d20 and you choose which one you wish to use. So, which is pretty nice. That's not really that new. There's been some other systems that have done that in the past. So it's kind of ironic that D&D's bringing that back. Pathfinder actually does that with some of the witches' abilities and that for the Pathfinder core rules. There's a couple abilities and hexes where you make someone roll 2 dice and choose the better, or make them roll 2 dice and choose the worse. So it's been around for a while, but it's kind of neat to have that even in the starter system. I thought that was kind of unusual. So it kind of takes away some of the pluses and the minuses. Skills for the most part work the same between the two. You're still going to have similar things. Saving throws, obviously, the D&D 5th edition, you're going to have the 5 saving throws, 6. You have a strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Whereas Pathfinder sticks with the 3.5. You have your fortitude, you have your reflex, and you have your will save. So, nothing too unusual there. Experience points, both of these systems kind of use the same kind of watered down, where you go up a level a little bit quicker. Yeah, the adventure for this, like I said, the adventure is pretty good for the starter set. It's not the best low-level one I've ever seen, but it's not horrible. Now, for the Pathfinder set, D&D hasn't, or Wizards of the Coast hasn't released a whole lot of extra content for this yet. I know the Paizo, if you go on their website, these are some of the ones from Gen Con, but they have about, I don't know, maybe about 10 or so extra little adventures you can download for this, and you can print them out yourself. Some of them are pretty nice. There's a couple that kind of shoehorn people into, like the Pathfinder Society, explain to what it's about, but it's all made for newer characters. Whereas this, like I said, Wizards of the Coast is coming out with lots of new content, like the Tiamat quest and stuff coming out. So I think this is going to be more geared towards players that have been around for a while. But hopefully I've answered all of your guys' questions. If you have any other questions about the two, maybe questions about like what I think about certain maybe rules between the two or differences, feel free to leave me comments, questions. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Like I said, I know some people thought this might be a flaming video. Don't get me wrong, both of them are very, very good. Both of them are very, very similar. But if I had to choose one, it would definitely be this, because it's a better value. And that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.